Welcome, my name is Julia and I am the curator for Ruth E. Afrofuturism and Costume Design. Today we are in the gallery and I'm going to show you how we dress a mannequin for an exhibition like this. So I'm just going to be working and you'll be able to watch me. I might say a couple of things as we go, but you are here on this journey with me. I don't know what he's going to need, but we'll figure it out together. So first and foremost, as you can see, this mannequin doesn't have any legs. The reason that we use a mannequin like this would be so that we can raise and lower them according to the height of the actor. And this is right about Eddie Murphy's height, and that is a costume from Dolomite Is My Name that we're going to be dressing today. So, I'm going to pull up his pants. Okay. So I can see here that he's going to need a little bit of padding in his front and in his back so that his pants will fit appropriately. So I'm going to get going on that. So you'll notice that I'm using a lot of tissue paper. The reason for that is that he needs some padding to fill out the costume, but what tissue paper does is it allows us to pat it down if it's too much, and then it can go directly into the perfect shape that I want. So you'll notice that this costume, all of Eddie Murphy's costumes from Dolomite, were cut so that there's a little bit of an angle at the waistband, and that's to allow for his little belly, which is an important part of his character, really. The idea is that he's sort of a little bit doughy, as he says it, so that, you know, he is able to kind of create this persona for himself that incorporates his body and his abilities, and that's part of his look. So I'm going to give him a little bit more because his pants are still a little bit loose, a little bit more than I would like them to be. But I'm going to go for the batting now. And what the batting does is it just gives us kind of a base to be able to build off of. It doesn't look like much at this point, as you can see, but we're getting there. So you can see his pants now fit, basically, and that's what we had to do to that part of the mannequin to be able to get him to that point. So you'll see that on the upper part of the mannequin, we have to do basically the same thing, but in different proportions. I feel like dressing a mannequin is maybe only a little bit more difficult than dressing a small child. They don't want to do what you want them to do most of the time. So what I'm probably going to do is pad him more right here, just so that you have a smooth line from stomach up to chest, because people's bodies don't tend to have just kind of a roll and then nothing. They slope naturally. You'll notice that at no point do I ever pin the costumes themselves. I'm never doing anything to alter or damage them. Everything happens underneath the costume, and everything has to be hidden by the costume. So you'll see that over time, while we're doing this, I'll be tucking some of the padding in, hiding it so that that won't be visible when the costume is actually on. But if something is invisible, it's fair game. I can pad whatever I want as much as I want. So you can see I've actually wrapped this piece of batting over the back of his pants because I know that that's not going to be seen. So I can pull his shirt down over that. And that gives me an extra layer of padding that wouldn't be sort of pushed down by the pants. We have the last piece of his costume that needs to go on. So I'm going to push his arms back. Now, if this were a particularly difficult costume, I probably would have done what's called test dressing beforehand, which is kind of what I did with the pants, where I pulled them up and did them up to see what they're gonna need. If it's a more difficult costume at the top also, I would have done the same thing. But because I've dressed Dolomite so many times, and I know exactly what his costumes are gonna need, for the most part, I wasn't starting from scratch. Okay, so you can see that for the most part, he's done, but you might be able to see that there are little bits of padding that are visible here. And what we want is for all of this to be black so that you're not seeing little bits of white padding. So for this one, I can just pull this up a little bit, and that's hidden a little bit more. But for up here, I'm gonna need to do something to cover that up. So what I'm gonna do is get a little piece of this black batting, and I'm gonna tuck it in so it covers that. And finishing touches, let's see what he needs. So I'm gonna leave the hat padded inside, as you can see, because mannequin heads are pretty small. They also don't have any hair. So I'm gonna leave some tissue paper in there so that it's not falling down over where his eyes would be, basically. Now, give him a little bit of character here. And you can see that there's a little bit of a ridge forming here. That's the batting. So I'm gonna cut another piece of batting and just put it right here, just to fill that in. So you have a nice smooth transition there. Just like so. Okay, well there you go. That's how you dress a mannequin. That one was pretty simple. Sometimes they can take hours, even days to do if they're really complicated. But that gives you an idea of basically the premise and what you have to do to get it just right so that all of the bodies look appropriate, look like bodies basically in all of their individual glory. Thank you for joining me.